Welcome, everybody. College Football Week 2 is in the books, which means it's time to look forward to College Football Week 3. I'm Joe with the Game House, and today we're going to take a look at NFL draft prospects to watch in College Football Week 3. All right, as mentioned, we're going to go over some NFL draft prospects to watch in College Football Week 3. As a reminder, we give about 5 draft prospects to watch each week. Try to hit different positions, different guys who are highly valued, maybe some guys who could be some late round guys. I just try to mix it up every week and just see what the best matchups could be for some of these players in terms of getting tape that will help them for the NFL. And we're going to get it started with Jer'Zhan Newton out of Illinois. Now, you may have also heard him called Johnny Newton. Just goes by both names, but Jer'Zhan Newton is the way he is listed in a lot of places, so we'll keep it like that. Illinois kind of had a rocky start to the season, 1-1 record overall. Struggled against Toledo in Week 1, lost on the road at Kansas last Friday. Different parts of their teams have had the issues so far this year, but their interior defensive line with Newton and Randolph, specifically in the middle, is great. Newton going into the offseason has been, the guy people have talked about on the defensive line. He's been a force in the middle already. 9 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. Week 3, the matchup is against Penn State. Penn State has an offensive line that has some pro players on it, including Olu Fashanu, the left tackle. He's going to have to be very disruptive to give Illinois any chance. Penn State does have a very young quarterback, Drew Allar, so if he can get some pressure, maybe push the pocket a little bit, he could impact the game pretty greatly. I'm not saying an upset is impossible. It just doesn't look very likely so far. But what he can do with this game is put a good game of tape get a good reps on tape for the NFL teams, and I think it could cement him as the best defensive tackle in this draft class. We'll move on to number 2. It is Tyler Nubin, the safety out of Minnesota. Minnesota's 2-0. They've had off-the-field distractions with kind of the PJ Fleck, how he runs his program, headlines going on. But their defense has been good. They've allowed just 8 points a game so far. Best player on defense is definitely Nubin. He has 5 total tackles, 2 interceptions already on the season, showing off his good ball skills in the process. They're going to be taking on North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Now, North Carolina, Week 1 beats South Carolina, then struggles with Appalachian State, so maybe the Golden Gophers could play him tough. But for Nubin, it's going against quarterback Drake May, the guy who's going to be a very high draft pick in the 2024 draft, we all think right now. So he's going to be patrolling the back end of the defense. He has good athleticism, good ball skills that he's already shown. He can force some turnovers. It's not something you usually see out of a guy who's been in college for so long, but he's got that athleticism to be able to help him out here. I think he's very intriguing for the 2024 NFL draft guy. I wish I had watched more tape on this summer, but excited to watch the tape on him moving forward because he's had such an impact already. Next one up, we have Jason Marshall of the Florida Gators. Florida looks like they could be in for a rough season this year after losing to Utah in Week 1. They did rebound with a win over McNeese State in Week 2, but that's an FCS team, so we really haven't seen them play anyone since Utah. Secondary has a talented player, Jason Marshall, who had really been hyped up after his freshman season, but maybe took a little bit of a hit after his sophomore season. He has 2 total tackles on the season so far. He's going to be put to the test in Week 3 against Tennessee. Now, Tennessee hasn't really gotten their offense flowing like you usually remember the last couple of years with Hendon Hooker. Joe Milton still needs to find his groove, but it's an offense that is very aggressive and will take shots downfield, and they can put up points in an instant. They're going to air it out. Marshall's going to be under the gun. He's going to be expected to hold up in coverage, and he's going to have to make plays on the ball in this game to give Florida any shot. If he does that, he can help his draft stock, maybe help get his draft stock back. There's just other guys who maybe passed him up over the last year or so, and he just has to play well in this one. This might be one of the better offenses that Florida sees this season, and with a kind of a light college football slate for Week 3, this game might have some eyes on it still. It is Tennessee, Florida, and he is a good player, so you have to make the most of this because people may not be watching too many Florida games by the end of the year. Now, you still will get the draft process where people, scouts will watch the tape and everything, but it's always good to leave your mark on a game early on. All right, Antwain Wells, the wide receiver for South Carolina, also known as Juice Wells, if you've heard it that way. They haven't had the easiest start of the season either. They're 1-1. They lost North Carolina Week 1. They also defeated Furman in Week 2 to go to 1-1. Offense has struggled so far. Stems a lot from their offensive line, but also Juice Wells has been hurt, so he's expected to play in this game, but he hasn't been 100% healthy so far. He had 928 receiving yards last season, but he has just 1 catch for 5 yards this year. And having 928 receiving yards in the SEC is very tough. You expect like this year he comes back, maybe he has 1,000 yards. Doesn't look like he's going to happen this year due to injury and maybe that offensive line holding him back. So South Carolina gets the opportunity to match up with Georgia in week 3, so that'll be fun. I think Georgia's favored by over 20 points against South Carolina. And I think if they have any shot of pulling off this upset, they're going to need Juice Wells to make some plays and open the field up. It might result in South Carolina trying to get the ball out of Spencer Rattler's hands quickly into Juice Wells' hands very quickly, and he's going to have to help out. He's got decent size, he can separate, but he's going to have to run after the catch in this game to really make an impact. I think if he's healthy, South Carolina might be able to keep it close for a little bit before Georgia pulls away. We'll see. If he needs to start playing to help his draft stock. Wide receiver is a position that always has players rise and fall. We've seen Keon Coleman already for Florida State already have a fast rise to the season, so other guys need to start getting on the field and putting some good tape out there for NFL teams. The last guy to watch this week is Malachi Corley, the wide receiver out of Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky started off with a 2-0 record. They have wins over South Florida and Houston Christian. Their reason for success is their air raid attack. They have one of the best players in the country at quarterback in Austin Reed, at least in terms of stats. If you're looking at passing yards, Austin Reed is very, very good. And they're one of their best players, Western Kentucky that is Malachi Corley. He has 4 catches for 55 yards this season. He had to leave the season opener, didn't play in week 2, so you kind of hope he can play in this game for his own draft stock purposes. But it's going to be very hard to beat Ohio State, so if they arrest him to kind of like get him ready for the conference season, that also would be understandable from a team perspective and maybe a long-term health perspective for Corley. So if they're going to do anything against Ohio State, they're going to have some big plays. They're going to have to spread out Ohio State. Ohio State, at least last year, was susceptible to giving up big plays, and that's how you're going to have to attack them. So, but so far this season, the Buckeyes defense looks improved. They have some NFL talent on the back end, and if Corley can show that he's so good at running after the catch is one of his strengths, I think that he could really improve his stock because he's not going to get many chances to play defenses like this. And like I said earlier, he can take advantage of the slate too. The slate isn't very good this weekend. You know, that means maybe some upsets happen and some tension gets drawn out, but a lot of people will be watching Western Kentucky play Ohio State, and that can only help. Let me know which NFL draft prospects you're watching this week in the comments below. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.